Yes, yes, yes. What's going on, Eskimo?
Shemai, not much. I am sick, folks. I'm just gonna come out and say it. I have COVID.
That is for real. She told us what, yesterday?
Yeah. Yep, I have COVID. So I'm in my cozy little penguin pajamas and I got my Packers blanket and I got my tissues and my hot tea. So we're good.
Nice. Very, very nice. What do you are you gonna give the headlines or am I?
Take it away.
Alright, give me 1 second because I need to pull them back up real quick. So
Oh.
tonight on the Ope show,
Oh.
apparently. Oh, Malik
That
is not
was
feeling well. What? Go ahead.
that was last week, wasn't it? Oh.
Nope. That was
Yeah.
whoops.
Oh,
But
okay.
that is the same thing for sure. So that's funny. Yeah, oh whoops. All the same. No different. It's kind of perpetual dialogue slash slogan right now for the United States, right? Just like perpetual ope and whoops and probably a whole lot worse adjectives than that. So tonight, NBA star Enes Kanter calls out Nike. Fantastic. I've been calling out Nike for years, so I can't wait to hear about that. Anchorage, Alaska implements a snitching policy for their mask ordinance, and that is just unbelievable to me. I cannot stand the snitch mentality. That is a gross, disgusting behavior. But anyway, we're going to find out about it, and hopefully we can put an end to that. New York City citizens protest, and in a huge win, the NSBA, the National School Board Association, they retract their letter to the Biden administration to label parents as domestic terrorists on the 17th episode of Bayous to Iglus. See you in just a minute. Right back at it. Has the
Yep.
tea helped within the last 30 seconds?
Yep, it's definitely helping.
Mhm.
I have a sore throat, so I have like tea and honey and other stuff for helping with my throat, like cough
Nice.
medicine. So it's all helping. And real quick, folks, if you hear a bunch of stuff whizzing outside, there's plenty of snow, so there's snow machines going by. Um, okay, in Alaska we call them snow machines. They're not snowmobiles. We call them snow machines, and so that's what's going by if you hear a lot of stuff going by.
Yeah. Um,
Public service
that's
announcement.
weird.
That's not
PSA,
weird.
folks. PSA, there is snow.
It's
That may
almost
not be
November.
that Snowvember. All right, that's first. That for some of you that may not be foreign, but for us, yes, that is very foreign for Southerners. I am still sitting here in flip flops, and I do have actual pants on and not shorts, but still, obviously, a t shirt. It's not that cold outside, even though it is about 53 with the wind blowing, which is very cold for us. Very
Oh,
cold for us.
well, I'm bundled.
No snow ever. You can keep all of the snow, but won't something you will not keep all of. Cumberland Cannabis Company. viable, ethical, effective cannabis and medicinal purposes. Thank you, Cumberland Cannabis Company, for sponsoring the show. Viable, ethical, and effective. We appreciate you and we appreciate the service that you do. We also appreciate the service of. There
Joe
we go.
Salosky for Pennsylvania governor. He is the key to Pennsylvania's success. I bet he knows what snow is. And they probably call them snowmobiles there, but I'll forgive him. Snow machines. But guaranteed he probably knows what snow is. Maybe doesn't even mind snow. His beard is white and gorgeous like snow. I don't know. But yeah, check out Joe Salosky, folks, for Pennsylvania governor. He is the key to Pennsylvania's success.
Nice.
So,
That is a great
speaking of,
ad read.
thank you. I do my best. He doesn't seem to mind them, so
No.
I just have my chubby cheek smile and just like pick on him a little bit, and he's like, "Oh, that's
Yep.
okay."
Yeah, as Thomas Daniel Queter says, the chubby cheeks of justice.
Yeah, I think he goes back and forth between justice. Either works. So, speaking of snow and liberty, not really liberty, but a little bit of an update on Anchorage mask ordinance. That's something that we've kind of been covering, I guess, for a couple of weeks now. So, just a little reminder, a little recap. Anchorage has passed an emergency mask ordinance in this slimy way. You know, they declared an emergency meeting and then in the middle of the night and within 25 minutes they voted it in, and this is something I had been like advocating against. I even went and spoke and they were supposed to take more public testimony, but nope, they passed it, so it's in place. So
Nice.
Bronson's administration, Bronson is the mayor, so Bronson's administration has now launched an online snitching program for those that are violating this ordinance. Yes, we all know how well that goes. So there's some major red flags with this. We still don't know how they will enforce this mandate. Even though it was passed, we don't know how they're going to enforce it, but there's a snitching program. So there's no public information as to any fines or penalties, nothing. And part of the emergency ordinance states the municipality, meaning the municipality of Anchorage, which also includes like Eagle River area and stuff. So the municipality reserves the right to use all available enforcement options to assure the compliance with the emergency ordinance.
Wow.
So it's never been clear or even discussed how specifically they will enforce this, but they've given themselves permission to make it up as they go or possibly change it as they feel, because it's part of the ordinance that, like, hey, whatever means necessary. So,
That's crazy.
right? So that isn't going to be abused at all. That doesn't scream that it can be abused at all. So the little sprinkles on the top, um, instead of the cherry, this is the sprinkles. We'll get to the cherry on top. Um, Bronson and his executive team are exempt from this ordinance. They don't have to wear masks.
Wow.
So,
Of course.
right? And this was brought up during the meetings too. Like, why is he exempt? It was quoted that they're exempt so that they can continue to do their jobs. That was the reason given to us.
Unbelievable.
So that was the sprinkles. The cherry on top. I must be really hungry or something. The cherry on top. Meg Zalatel. She is the assemblywoman who originally sponsored this ordinance. And not only that, she didn't have the gall to show up to the public testimonies. She only was there by phone. So she implemented it, didn't
Wow.
even show up to these meetings, only arrived by phone. She was there for the emergency meeting though. Anyways, This lady has been spotted several times not even following her own ordinance. And not only that,
I'm
her
shocked.
friends have been posting selfies with her, like on social media and whatnot, and no one's sporting a mask.
No, of course not.
So this has been spotted several times, several different instances where she's not even following her own ordinance. So people are actually reporting her on their own snitching program.
Wow.
So,
That's amazing.
yeah, it's, I think they've realized that they've gotten to the point where they can't actually enforce this. People are fed up. Obviously, we're fed up with this. We're fed up with wearing a mask or else type of thing. So now having this snitching program, I think they believe that people are going to hold themselves more accountable. And that can be quite dangerous, putting neighbors against neighbors and kind of leaving an open check for what the penalty is going to be. So, very toxic situation.
Yeah. Yeah, I would never advocate, not for one instant, will I ever advocate for Americans snitching on fellow Americans. Not once ever. That's always a bad idea, no matter what the result may be. The ends don't justify the means. If that's what you're suggesting that's required for that effort, that's disgusting. No, thank you.
Just, I mean, people need to realize the toxic situation that they're putting our community in. So now you have people yelling at each other in public, get your mask on, get it above your nose. And now you can be written up by all the Karens. And this is just,
Yep.
now you're guilty until proven innocent.
Hmm.
Th- So, anyways, even if you are reported, it's not clear how you're going to be punished. There's no penalties or fines right now, but they could implement them at any time. So we'll see. So that's that story. And I can hear a whole bunch of snow machines about to go by. So right on cue.
Snow machines.
There's
Snow
snow
machines
machines.
and snowmobiles, neither
No,
are something that I want to have to deal with. And
they're
if I had
fun.
another self, no,
No,
no, because that is work. I can hear that. And I know living in one part of the United States, snow is work.
it's not
Facts.
too bad. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. You can go fast.
Oh, pop back.
Little vroom vroom. You just bundle up and you're fine. Why are you even growing a beard then?
Because I can.
So, moving
Literally.
on. Moving on to someone else who has an excellent black beard. Um, Enes Kanter. So, for those that don't know, Enes Kanter is an NBA star and player for the Celtics. And so lately he's been hitting the news because he's been calling out Nike and their exploitation of slave labor in China. And so a lot of people are
Nice.
kind of aware of this situation, but they don't know exactly how bad it is. So just kind of going over like what's been reported. On Monday, Inez wore a pair of custom shoes during his game against the Charlotte Hornets. And on them had multiple sayings. They said modern day slavery, made with slave labor, hypocrite Nike. And there was red splatter to look like blood on them. And these were designed by Shanghai born, Australia based cartoonist. Oh, I'm going to totally, screw this name up, but it's Baduchio? Baduchio? I don't know. I can't
All of
pronounce his
that.
name right. I'm so sorry. But
It's a
it
tough
was
one.
designed by this Shanghai born cartoonist, which is quite appropriate in this situation. So he also posted on a accompanying video message on social media with hashtag End Uyghur Forced Labor. And so he's been posting on social media, he's been tweeting, he's been wearing shoes that like brought a lot of attention. He's bringing a lot of attention to this issue. And keep in mind, China is the NBA's largest overseas market. So a lot of basketball
Yep.
fans over in China. And it's the largest overseas market. So this is a big deal.
Yep.
So Inez also tweeted out tagging Nike, like their Twitter page, and Phil Knight. So Phil Knight is the co-founder and chair of Nike. So he tagged him saying, quote, "How about I book plane tickets for us and let's fly to China together. We can try to visit these slave labor camps and you can see it with your own eyes." He also tagged LeBron James and Michael Jordan in this
Hmm.
tweet, saying that you guys are welcome to come too. Now, as most of us know, Michael Jordan and LeBron James have had major deals with Nike. I mean, there's the Air Jordans and
Facts.
everything. I mean, when you think of Nike, you think of Michael Jordan. That's how synonymous they are. So, although Nike claims there is no forced labor in its supply chain, the company doesn't, as Inez puts, have the receipts to prove it. So, I mean, they're making these claims and not backing up these claims, is what he's saying, which is fair to like point out. Like, okay, then, I mean, that's a bold statement, especially if your labor is coming from China and what we know about China. I mean, maybe you should actually provide the proof for that. You can't just make those empty, like, big, resounding, oh, yeah, we're great. So, for those that don't know, Uyghurs have actually been in the news before when Biden said something about Uyghurs and people didn't know what that was and they had to look it up because they thought he was saying something else. Because it made him, we might get demonetized. People thought he was saying Uyghurs. Anyways, I'm not even going to get into that, but that's where you might remember that term from. Uyghurs are a Turkic ethnic group native to Xinjiang, uh, and they're mostly Muslim. A lot of people think most of them are they're all Muslim. No, they're mostly Muslim. They're a Turkic ethnic group, and they're a minority group in their area. Since 2014, the Chinese Communist Party have ordered the incarceration of more than 1 million Muslims in that area. Most of them, significant portion of them, have been Uyghurs. So this is the largest scale detention of ethnic and religious minorities since World War II. This is the scale that we're looking at here. This is massive. Over 1 million Muslims, most of them being Uyghurs. So part of the incarceration of them has included state-sponsored internment camps, forced labor, forced sterilization, forced abortions, and political indoctrination. That's what we know of so far. As more information is leaked out, more people realize that this is an act of genocide. They are actively participating in eugenic sort of policies and programs for this group of individuals. Looking at the statistics of like birth rates and population in the area where these policies are put into place, it backs up what people are thinking about this being a genocide. So the United
Yep.
Nations Human Rights Council is split as to whether China's policies are considered genocide, and some even support this practice. Let that sink in for a second. The UN Nations Human Rights Council is split as to whether this is actually considered genocide, and some people support the policies. The International Criminal Court declined to investigate China in December 2021. However, in January 19th, 2020, the US declared human rights abuses as genocide, that should be considered genocide, but then the US Department Office of the Legal Advisor considered that evidence was insufficient to prove genocide.
Wow.
Yeah. There's some really startling evidence showing that there is a sharp decline in the population. In fact, I think it was like 30% less babies being born now ever since they implemented that policy in that area. Looking
Yep.
at the statistics, there's significantly less people in that area, and they're being incarcerated and forced into internment camps, to, forced to work as slave labor. And Inez Cancer is using his platform to bring light to this because other people are declining it. The UN is sweeping it under the rug. So this is huge. And this isn't the first time that Inez Cantor has actually been a human rights advocate. He's known to get in trouble with folks for being a pain in the ass for human rights, which you're supposed to be, And so, like, I should have looked more into it, but he's not even allowed in Turkey because of his accusations to the Turkish president. I believe it's connected to this. Um, Correct me if I'm wrong if I'm wrong in the comments, but this guy is the more I read about him, the more I respect him for being such a huge advocate for these sort of things, causing ripples.
Yeah, ripples, waves. Um, there's a lot of voices in activism coming out of the NBA right now for not just human rights, but for freedom of choice, freedom of basically everything, which this falls under. So the NBA, certain players out of the NBA are just standing up for freedom, and it's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they're on that platform and they're going to be using it to bring to light issues like this. I mean, obviously, it went viral on Twitter and it caught the eye of multiple news stations. And
Yep.
yeah, big stuff. We'll see where it goes
Yep.
from here.
Yeah, which is kind of ironic because, as you talked about before, the Uyghur situation has been a situation for a long time, but it hasn't really caught in fire on the more mainstream type of, or not mainstream, but more corporate media, TV stations and radio stations and whatnot. But the Uyghur situation has been a problem for a while, and so I'm glad to hear a superstar out of the NBA or anywhere just talk about it. It's fantastic. Somebody I won't talk about is Jack Casey because I don't know what else to say about his terrible books, so I won't. They're bad, but they're useful. You can use them, but just don't read them. And that's about all I got about Jack Casey's. RoyalGreen.com. Go check it
La-
out.
Last week was his
RoyalGreen.com.
birthday.
There you go. There's a reason to buy a book solely for celebratory birthday reasons, and only that. But they are easily used. If you want to have your toddler stand on them to go number one, I guess, or number two in the bathroom, then they get them up there easily. I know that from experience. So you can do that too. But don't read them
Are they like
because
this thick
they,
too?
that's what she said. Uh, sure. No, yeah, they are. They are very
You
thick.
bought a book.
I have one right up the. I have one right up there. It's it is thick.
I can't reach it. Oh, it's right
Oh no, it's literally on my dresser. It's about 20 feet away.
Oh,
So yeah,
okay. That's forgivable. You made it sound like, oh,
maybe
it's too far.
no, no, it's not that far. It's just it's not really the length of where it's at. It's more the fact that Jack Casey wrote it, and so I'm already tired. I was tired and didn't even want to do the show because I knew I had to advertise for Jack Casey, and I'm extra tired because I spent the energy on advertising for Jack Casey, and he deserves no advertisement because his books are awful and they're just garbage. So,
With
what's
that in
not
mind.
garbage?
Sorry.
With that in mind, with what's not garbage is here's a quote. We have a communist takeover. Now, here's the really good news. Thousands of New York City firemen and police officers defy vaccine mandates in largest protest yet, which a lot of people have not heard about. This is in New York City, and it doesn't just apply to firemen and police officers. So let's dig into it. It's very short. New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio, who I cannot stand. If you watch any of my episodes, you know that he is a frequent guest and recipient of the Kick Rocks Award and segment. He is a ridiculously disgusting human being, and he sucks butthole by all measures.
Oh.
New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio, sorry, Mayor Bill de
Whoa.
Blasio. New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio's mandate last week for all city workers to get COVID-19 vaccines gave rise to even more protests standing up against what they see as a violation of freedom of choice and a communist takeover of the country. I don't know a lot of libertarians that would disagree with that last sentence in respect to everything that's kind of happening. So, the Epoch Times was there to interview some of the New York Police Department officers and Fire Department of New York participants and witness the massive march across the Brooklyn Bridge that ended in front of City Hall on Monday afternoon. Protesters protesters chanted slogans as they marched in support of freedom and against the mandates issued by De Blasio and President Joe Biden. That's funny they don't mention the actual chants there. I can imagine it sounded something like "Let's go, Brandon," or if you know the actual translation. So that's pretty funny. Active Fire Department New York Captain Jason Wendell of Engine 274 said that there were thousands and thousands of them present in the Monday March, which is incredible because I had to go find this. This is not widespread. Most people don't know about this, and that's incredible to me. If you didn't know, now you know. New York City had thousands of people protesting against the vaccine mandate. Incredible. This particular institute decided to highlight the first responders, police and paramedics, but there were thousands of people. New York City firefighters and police officers have been exposed for the last 20 months to COVID 19. More importantly, hospital workers. That's me. That's not in there. But hospital workers still being fired, medical staff. Incredible. Exposed to this virus for 18, 20 months or so, maybe even 22 months, risked their lives from what they didn't know what was going on, but was there. Hero to zero. Incredible. This is amazing. Anyway, most of us have gotten the sickness and got over it perfectly well and have natural immunity, Wendell said. And the fact that the mayor and politicians are not acknowledging that the vast majority of us are already naturally immune is nothing short of tyrannical. There were thousands and thousands of New York City firemen and New York City police officers, sanitation workers, and teachers here today to protest these obscene mandates. The mandate will affect approximately 161,000 city employees, which includes first responders, if they fail to show vaccination proof by October 29th, which is today, they will likely be sent home without pay. Retired police officer Philip McManus worked for the NYPD from 90 to 2018. Why are we here? This is a quote unquote. Why are we here? We're here. It's not just because of local mandates, forced mandates, medical mandates. This is about freedom. This is the real issue. It's about freedom. And we're fighting a dictatorship in this country. We're fighting a tyranny in our country. The reality is, we have a president who is forcing people to do something that is absolutely against their religious options or their medical decisions. And we have to do everything we can to fight for everyone. Everyone that was forced to be vaccinated needs to stand united for freedom. We all know what's going on in this country. We have a communist takeover in this country. And another quote, "Give me liberty or give me death," he said, quoting Patrick Henry's famous words from 1775. Now, everything that he said was accurate. I'm grateful that he's standing up for all of it. But the biggest thing that he misses here in all of his quotes is that this has been going on for every presidency for the last 50 years. That's the context that's missing. Facebook, missing context. He's right, but he tries to peg it on this administration alone. The fact is, this has been going on for years, for decades. And that is because we, the people, have not stood our ground and we have succumbed to obeying the authority who actually isn't even the authority. That's why the Constitution, our governing law over the entire country, says consent of the governed. We don't consent. But while we don't consent, we don't speak out. And I don't mean that for the vast majority of the libertarian audience that does watch this show. I mean that for the potential, however, hopefully millions that will see this show and that don't understand that very basic fact that it is our decision to speak out. It is our paychecks. We employ them, so they should do what we say. In regards to that, there is some good news about government employees that decided they were going to apologize, which is the right thing to do. Let me say that. But there may be, I personally, if I was the head of some sort of children's union involving the school board association, I would probably file a counter lawsuit here. But let's go for the win, which is very important. National School Board Association walks it back. The National School Boards Association has apologized for a letter that called on Joe Biden to use the Justice Department, Homeland of Security, its National Threat Assessment Center, and other federal agencies to stop the quote unquote threats of acts and violence on school officials during school board meetings. So, glad you did it. You were a criminal to do it in the first place. And guess what? You felt the wrath. And now you had to walk it back. Thank God. And I love how this lays it out with threats and acts of violence on school officials. I originally reported on this, and I said this. I assumed that they didn't, or I'm sorry, that that it was Matt Walsh going around protesting mask mandates. It wasn't that. Originally, this originally came from the same county, though, same county and state, Loudoun County, Virginia. But the difference being that it was a father that showed up at a school board meeting about his daughter getting raped, quite literally, and now there are charges being pressed against the young man. Actually, multiple. He actually raped a young lady prior to that, and was transferred to a school in which he raped another girl. And then that resulted in the father of that girl going to the school board meeting and asking what is going on, and they arrested him for disorderly conduct and then tried to sweep it under the rug. Now it's came out that it's hardcore evidence that the school board tried to literally obstruct justice and sweep this under the rug. Loudoun County, Virginia, about a girl being raped. And then the father was arrested and then labeled. That's what started, really, that was the fire that started the school boards and sending the National School Board Association, sending the letter to the FBI and Joe Biden to label these people domestic terrorists, when in fact the entire time they were the ones that were wrong. Unbelievable. It just
That
happens. Go ahead.
I was gonna say that father put it nicer than I probably would have. I feel
Well, he went
like.
to jail and he fought the police and he got bloody. There's a picture going around of him,
Oh yeah,
in
for
which,
sure. But
yeah, you've
still,
seen,
yeah, even
right?
still, like I don't blame the father at all in that situation, and I can only imagine. Mm, just man, normally I believe in the nap, but situations like this.
Mm. That no, see, well, that me personally, that's not a violation of the NAP. You are defending justice. That person was aggressive. That entity was aggressive. They violated the aggression principle, and so justice needs to be served. I will not. I will never shift on that ever. I will defend any innocent person physically. Physically. Sorry, you were probably getting there. You were
No,
probably
I
going
totally
there, and I cut you off.
no, you didn't cut me off. But yeah, I totally agree. This whole situation is just the lengths that people will go to cover themselves.
Right? Yeah, illegally, beyond all measure, beyond any thought of a normal, rational human being. It's all derived from a disgusting, polluted atmosphere of power.
Hmm.
And that's why they do that. Because I have done what I had to do to obtain said power, and now I have to continue that train to secure my said power. And it is corruption, pollution. And we're seeing it. And now, but the as hard as this article is to read, this is a win. We can't forget about this, because now you've got something that libertarians have been talking about for a long time, that we have to be concentrated on the local level, on our school boards, is one of the main focal points. And now here we are with school boards in the national news, so much so that these tyrants that want to shut your voice down as a parent have called in the FBI, and we got so pissed off and made such a massive noise about it that they had to literally apologize for the letter. Literally apologize for it. That that's what we mean when we say you are the power. That's what Spike means. You are the power. That's how. So many people got mad at this situation that you're going to call parents domestic terrorists because we want to voice our opinions at the school board. Yeah. And then, look, yeah, you just, you don't want to mess with parents when it comes to their kids. And then, I mean, but that's what it takes. That's what it takes. And I got way off the rails there. So let me get back here for a couple of more notes before we sign off. Um, about a month after the association sent its plea letter to the Biden administration, the National School Board Association has faced outrage on all sides from its members, state attorney generals, lawmakers, and parent advocacy groups. These critics say the involvement of the FBI in school board meetings would chill parents' free speech. Yeah, well, of course, that's not the worst of it, though. That's definitely not the worst conclusion of this whole entire scenario. That isn't anymore. The NSBA says they seem more concerned about suppressing speech with which it disagrees than real threats of violence. More than a dozen attorney generals wrote from states. Nicole Neely, president of Parents Defending Education, a group working to reclaim our schools from activists imposing harmful agendas, said her group has emailed 47 state school board associations for comment on the SBA's September 29th letter. Neely said 19 have distanced themselves from the group's letter. And many state school boards said that they had not been made aware of the NSBA's request ahead of time. So you're talking about at least 19 state school board associations didn't know that the National School Board Association was going to send a letter asking for the FBI to get involved and label parents domestic terrorists. That's remarkable. What kind of on behalf of it didn't put the in there. On behalf of the National School Board Association, we regret and apologize for the letter. Thank you. Not good enough. And we're about to find out why. In my opinion, anyway. This is just me. We should have had a better process in place to allow for consultation on a communication of this significance. So, word salad, meaningless. Nothing there. Zero content there. A meaningless word salad. Here's the next sentence. We apologize also for the strain and stress the situation has caused you and your organizations. Nope. Covering again, they don't want to actually admit to any wrongdoing. There's a very important line in here. There was no justification for some of the language included in the letter. So again, they're not actually apologizing for the content of the letter. They're not actually apologizing for their actions. They're saying 100% that it was a miscommunication on the way they strategically structured their etymology, which is beyond ridiculous. This can't be disregarded. It can't be just thrown aside. This is incredible. I'm glad they apologize, but don't mistake this for something that it isn't. They're not actually apologizing They're just restructuring the phraseology that they originally used because it sounded bad. And so now they pollute it with word salad and sidestepping any actual responsibility that they had.
Shameless.
Shameless. But unfortunately, most people, and I've heard a lot of media pontificators on all sides saying, oh, this was a big deal that they walked this back. And yeah, it's a big deal because now it can't happen, which is fantastic. But my bigger concern is the false flags that are in their commentary. That's kind of scary because the next time this issue arises, they're going to be more emboldened to sidestep it again and kind of continue whatever narrative or prerogative mandate, God forbid, that they feel they have, and just please people with faulty lies and manipulation. And that's what I got. Sorry. Didn't mean to be negative there. I literally actually thought, a couple of times reading it through, I was like, this is a win, a positive. I want to be positive. And it is. It is. We win. But I am scared for the future because I don't want us to get lackadaisical. Period. Cannot relax. We cannot settle down. We can't.
Yep, we can't settle for this, but we can be happy that it's moving in the right direction.
That's right. Absolutely. Just like your immunity to COVID, which is moving
Yeah.
in the right direction by the minute.
Yeah, I am feeling all right. I'm mainly tired, but yeah, we're doing better. Definitely doing better.
That's
I'll
excellent.
be
We the whole house caught the Delta variant a few months back, and I'm even though I'm like 3 times immunocompromised, I just stayed out in the sun, sweated out. The kids got some skin rashes, barely a fever. The wife had a couple of chest pains and some headaches and fever for a few days, and that was about it.
Yeah, it hasn't been fun necessarily, but
No,
I mean, in terms of like how it's hitting, I mean, I've been this sick before. Like I'm not gonna say anything for certain until I'm officially out of the woods, but yeah, I just
oh,
drink
you're
lots of
fine.
tea and stay bundled, and I have my penguin pajamas and Packers celebratory blanket. After that stupid win, but it's a win. A win's a win. So, but
That was
yeah,
a
I might.
great game. It just
Yeah.
the ending was very dumb. It was unfortunate because really on all sides. Well, I mean, if you're a Packers fan, right, you're glad to have the win, and I would totally be glad to have the win. But it was kind of a weird ending. So a great game though. Like both teams performed. Both quarterbacks were excellent in the times that they needed to be. Yeah, it was a very fun game. I watched it from beginning to end, which is not something I do when the Saints aren't playing. Who dat? And go
For sure.
Tigers. We're
Well,
terrible this year though. So anyway, I will tell you this real quick though before we get up out of here. There is somebody that isn't terrible and he's very reals.
Jonathan Reels. He is running for Alabama's second district. I really need to write this down. He's running in Alabama. for Congress, for House of Representatives, and he needs to raise $5,000. And by the way, Spike is actually in Alabama this weekend. They have lots of big events coming up, so go check him out. Jonathan, he wants to be a Reels candidate. He's already a Reels boy, so I'm a Reels boy. No, so go check out www.jonathan.cash. Donate to his campaign. Check out the events that they're having this weekend. He is out there with Spike in Alabama doing a bunch of stuff. I don't know exactly what they are doing, but go check it out. And yeah, donate to his campaign. Help him become a Reels candidate.
That's right. And Spike is hanging out there this weekend?
Yep. So just go check out the stuff that they're
Nice.
doing. I don't know what they're doing. Maybe they're going to a range. I don't know. Maybe they're going to set another hill on fire. Just kidding.
I like that. I love setting things on fire all the time, 100%.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And do we have any anchor call-in moments going on?
I don't think so. I don't think so. There's been some very weird things going on with the show lately.
Mm,
Now, part of it today was I was not able to promote it
mm.
because Facebook is yet again on my ass for no reason. I woke up a few days ago and they said you can't post because you might be spam. And so I've been able to post twice for about the last 5 days. Every time I try to, I get the notification that I can't post because I might be spam. They're trying to protect the community.
With that extremist content, don't want to spam the extremist content. I'm just noticing it is dark out now. We're at that time of
I
year where
thought you
it's
didn't
dark.
get dark. Really?
Not during the winter, we do. During the summer, we stay light like all the time. And as winter approaches, we turn to darkness all the time. I think in Utqiagvik, that's the farthest north town. Most people know it as Barrow, but the Inupiaq term is Utqiagvik, which is the term for where you pick roots. And
Yes.
at some point pretty soon, the sun's going to go down, and the sun doesn't rise again for many weeks after that. So you get one less sunset, and then it's just dark
I
for
didn't realize
weeks.
you and I thought that was only segregate parts of Alaska. So that's very interesting. So it's about to go dark and you're not going to see light for several weeks.
No, I'm far enough south. So like
Okay,
the
okay.
farther north you
So I was
go,
right.
the less sunlight you get. But
Right.
it's 6:30 and it's dark out, and it's gonna get to the point where like the sun like goes above the horizon a little bit and says hi and then goes back down, and we're just like, okay, well, I guess that's the sunlight we get. Yay. So like we barely get sunlight. Yeah, if we're
It,
lucky.
it, it's been getting dark at about 6:30 for maybe 7:15 before it gets finally dark, but for about 2 weeks. So and now she's done. All right, folks, we are done here. We have a communist takeover, apparently.
Yeah, be sure to check out other Muddied Waters shows. On Monday,
Mhm.
there's Mr. Bearded Truth. On Tuesday, there is Muddied Waters of Freedom with Matt and Spike. On Wednesday, it is Spike with his My Fellow Americans. And then on Thursday, it is Matt Wright with the Writer's Block. And then Friday, back here with us. And oh man, I need to go like blow my nose and go lay down and maybe take a shower or something. But yeah, so
All of the
thanks for
it
bearing
sounds
with me,
like all of
folks.
the above. Take a couple of shots of whiskey or tequila or something like that to burn off the COVID. Go feel
Oh,
better. Thank you for bearing through it and hanging out with us tonight. This is the I'm talking to you, Eskimo. I guess I'm talking to everybody, but no, like thank you for bearing through it, and thank y'all for hanging out with us every week. It's amazing. We look forward to seeing you again next Friday. This is the Cajun and Eskimo Show
Advocating for a freer world.
from Bayous
To Iglus. Bucha.
Radio.